Hey everyone, welcome to Stand-Up Analysis. We're going to be watching some footage with Schune from his last set on Laughter Party, looking at what went well, what didn't go well, and how to make one the other. Schune, how you feeling about this set?
I think generally I did a much better job than I usually do of paying attention to the audience.
Okay, let's start.
Any racial minorities in the audience?
I don't think I deserved that warm of a welcome on stage just because these are people who've seen me perform before. Generally, a lot of the people are my friends. If this was a different place, I would have to do a better job of keeping up energy. But I think that is it's hard to find a way to do that that is still consonant with my persona.
Yeah, so it's this weird. I mean, yeah. Laughter Party is playing a little bit on easy mode, and we will need to buy more rapport if we do more hostile houses. I'm of two minds, and I don't know what I think the right answer is. Well, we were doing the review. I think it was with Susie. Hey, go watch that if you haven't watched that one right now. And she did something in the middle of her opening moment that didn't let her opening moment be a moment. And I was like, no. Let's do our opening moment, solidify that, and then start with the next thing. And I don't know whether we would be better suited being like, oh, hey, thank you. Oh, hey, I'm Tune. Oh, hey, how you doing? Great. Even not in a big William way, but in a subtler Shune way. Thank you. Hey, applause. And then going into the low-key delivery. Or if we get more shock value at doing it this way about nothing until the first words we say are these. I think it's different flavors, but it works either way. But I'm not sure, and I don't know which would be better in a hostile audience. Because like by a hostile audience, by us sort of ignoring them up until these first words, they might be like, well, ta-ta to you, or whatever. Instead of us being like, oh, thank you. I'm about to do something that's more avant-garde. And here it is. And I don't know. I thoughts on your end?
I think I was definitely going for saying nothing until asking whether or not there were racial minorities in the audience.
For this set, it works. But as far as like developing improv fundamentals and getting a bunch of reps with them, it might not be suiting us a lot to keep doing sets with, more like off the beaten path openings, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to do that for the next set.
It's up to once again. It's up to you. And if you can keep coming up with unique ways to open the set, hey, do it. Go away. That could just be your thing. Is that you never have to open the normal way. But I would like us to have that skill solidly under our belt. But whatever,
Yeah,
it worked. This works. So who cares? Fudge
thanks.
me.
Okay, that was a very gracious amount of applause for racial minorities. Just so I can get the full picture. How many boos for racial minorities? Okay, get them.
I actually had this planned out, like
Oh,
in my
get him. Yeah, canned responses. Great. We performed it well enough where it seems like it was off the cuff. So for my purpose, functionally the same.
in my I guess document. I had a matrix of audience reactions, and if people did boo, I would tell the audience, the minorities claps to get them,
I,
which
I just like the idea of it's a matrix. It's not just like a few decision trees. It's like if someone said bunny hops, I would have something for it. Any possible, three. So it's interesting because we wait on the any boos for racial minorities, which because the audience is sort of friendly because it's laughter party. I think at a certain point they might think like, oh, I think does he want us to boo, and so they play along and they boo versus a more hostile stranger audience. You might not get that. And then I don't know that this is the way that you wanted it to go, but you can hear Daddy William in the back. I start the boo at the booers. I start the audience turn. I help turn the audience against them. I wasn't sure that's what you wanted, but I'll be like, this will be a fun moment. So hey, I'm gonna push these sheep in that direction. And we handled it really well. But also my apologies if you're like, no, I didn't want the full audience to mutiny on these people. But here, what we can listen.
Sure.
That's okay.
How many boos for racial minorities?
I never expect to get a boo ever. I'm gonna be honest. I think
sure.
I think unless it's like a very unless I'm performing at like CPAC, you know.
I don't know. So what's CPAC?
It's like the conservative something.
Okay, yeah. I got you. I didn't know if that was like a club in Brooklyn that I was like, do I not know that one?
Yeah, it's the racist one in Brooklyn.
Okay, so if I'm gonna talk like play by play it.
Full picture. How many boos for racial minorities?
Okay, haha, what a funny concept. Oh, is he serious? Oh, I'm his friend. Yeah, I'll give him the boo. Then William goes, oh, and my turns the audience against them. So now the audience is mutiny against those booers.
Okay, get him.
And then it sort of like T-balls you up for a great response.
Yeah, thanks for the alley-oop.
Yeah. Anytime. I take care of everyone.
Not minorities anymore.
I think maybe we waited. That was another in your Matrix, not minorities anymore?
No. I just thought it was funny that there were like so many people who clap for racial. When the thing is, like, there's no way, right? Like, because I saw them come in. Like, there's no way there's that many racial minorities. Like, some of them had to have been lying.
Oh, okay. Well, or they could have just been white presenting. You don't know, and part something else.
There's no.
Yeah, get him. No. Okay, so interesting that you had a whole matrix and that we decided for the second joke to go off the matrix. So like, good job on using improv skills. But also, then like, why didn't you predict that with your matrix?
I didn't think that there would be so many.
Okay, sure. The one thing I'll note about the second line, I think we waited a little bit too long for first laugh to die before we hit it. We should have let it crest. We shouldn't have let it crest down as much, and it would have caused the second laugh to be bigger, for my money. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I think I was just I was scared.
Oh, sure. It's the top of the set, and we pulled out a true improv line. So like, yeah, I get it, but like, yeah, when you
get
first get him. Not minorities anymore. But now it's starting to die.
Not minorities anymore.
But I like our little giggle. It shows that, like, even a giggle shows that, like, we're reacting, we're playing with the audience. So that buys us reaction time or reaction feeling with the audience. That's a conversation. So just the giggles are in some ways just enough, I think.
Maybe I should do the Matt Rife thing where I like take the mic and like hit it against my leg. You know?
I mean, it's funny that you credit him to that because like Dave Chappelle was doing that like 30 years ago, and I'm sure he stole it from someone too. It's like a classic thing.
Him and me both learned from Matt Rife.
Yeah.
I never really know how to start my sets, so hoping one of you guys could do it for me. Excuse me, sir. I was wondering if you could start my first bit for me. It's about being Asian in a post-COVID world.
No.
Oh. That's okay. That was a shot in the dark anyway. I should have asked someone who was Asian in a post-COVID world. Honestly.
Okay, your thoughts about this joke so far?
I like every time I'm slow, it's because I'm deciding between a bunch of things. So like one, I didn't expect how terse Gregory was.
Sure.
The times I've done this at 2 times before, and both times I've asked someone, they've been like, you know. So I didn't expect for. The thing is, I in my matrix, I accounted for
You didn't account for a quick no in your matrix? One of the easiest
no,
expected answers?
For someone to say yes. No. So I didn't expect him to be so terse with it. And I was thinking like, oh, should I wanted to play with the fact that he was so curt and brief.
Oh, I see. So your slowness is like processing. Can I throw a joke in here about him not saying enough, and that's what's happening in your mind?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or like
yeah.
his I guess lack of hesitation, just because like I expect no, obviously.
Sure,
There's like less than 1% chance anyone's gonna be like, yeah, okay, here it goes. Unless it's like
do an even better set than you prepared.
Yeah. So that's like less than 1%.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Look. I don't. If we're processing, I don't hate it, but I do think. It's a fine line because part of it is the vibe that we're sending, and I don't want to say that like we can't send that vibe because there are benefits. There are benefits to doing that, but for my money, it's still a little bit too much dead air in this whole like, hey, I don't know how to start sets. I'm gonna ask you slow walk up, slow walk back. Like I think we could get the same thing, but crank the tempo up, even with the same feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. One thing that I've been like I crutched kind of being quirked up on a Monday in like in Batsu, for example. And
for those at home who aren't connected to our community, Batsu is the other flagship show that also happens in this same venue. That's like a live Japanese game show, short form improv. Okay, back to you.
And a lot of the jokes that I would do, I would play up not being uncomfortable, and now that I've been focusing pretty much solely on being more confident, I think that I should do that. I should extend the same vigilance towards stand-up, and confidence doesn't necessarily mean that I act like I have a huge dick all the time, but it means like being more decisive and then sticking and then committing to that decision harder rather than going in between a lot of different things.
Sure.
Just sticking to something and committing to it.
I could buy that. Are you shredding paper right below your mic?
No.
Oh, because that's what it sounds like. Whatever those things, whatever the two things you just said. Just FYI. There is, to the point of being confident, there is a confidence on stage intrinsically just by being slightly slower. It's sort of like, yeah, I'm confident that this is fine and we're fine in this. It's a fine line before we get too slow and we could be getting more jokes. But our general pace does belie some sort of like comfortability on stage that we're not go, please like me fast. Please, you don't like me now. Can you like me now? So in a weird way, there is some flavor of confidence, although I do understand the being more decisive and like not awkward boy about it.
I think I can still be awkward boy about it, but I think just having a clear idea of which avenue to be awkward boy is better.
Okay. I think I get what you're saying.
So like I was gonna be awkward boy either way when with the response.
Oh, I see. Either. Oh, you were so fast on that. It's almost like you've been asked before, or the other way. But we just basically don't spend time on like the buffering portion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. It's easy to say that in our chairs after the fact. A lot harder to enact on stage in the moment because like we don't know what the next set's challenge is going to be. But just do it fast, solve it faster. I guess it is like committing to the first impulse. Like if you had with the impulse to go one way with it, just maybe you like had that impulse to go, oh, should I comment on how terse it is? Maybe not. It doesn't fit. And then in that like instead of just like following the foot and as in improv terms, I could agree with that. Sure. Yeah. The first instinct, no matter how crazy, jump on it.
Okay, I guess I'll start it. So for this first bit, you have to know two things. One, I am Asian in a post-COVID world. 2, I am in what is commonly referred to as an interracial relationship. I just call it a relationship. My girlfriend is white, but to me, she just is.
Okay, how do we feel about the intro to this premise? Be decisive.
Yeah, does feel that way. Does feel that way. I think some of the jokes could have been faster.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the jokes
But
are
also,
whole.
I didn't want to, like you said, cut before, like cut off the audience clapping, for example. I was very careful not to do that. Like
Yeah,
when we were clapping for interracial relationship, but I think the other ones, like just because, I think so when they were clapping for interracial relationship, I think I could have already been setting up for like the annoying person who would say that they would just call it a relationship. Like, I think I could be more efficient.
But I just I'm commonly known as an interracial relationship. But I just call it a relationship. Like hitting that part faster.
So I do that thing where I'm like before I say like, but I just call it a relationship.
Okay. Yeah, let's watch it back.
First bit, you have to know 2 things. 1, I am Asian in a post-COVID world.
I'm gonna edit this part
2, I am in what is commonly referred to as an interracial relationship.
I like that we get our own applause break and make the audience do it.
I just call it a relationship.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had just jumped on it, then yeah, it would have been better as far as our timing. I don't hate it, but yeah, it could have been optimized. And then...
My girlfriend is white, but to me, she just is.
We maybe jumped on that the second one too soon. Wait a second.
A relationship. My girlfriend is white, but to me.
At least from this, I can't tell. This audio source makes it hard to know if that joke was about to burst a little bit, like crack open a little bit, and we stepped on it, or if we hit it perfect peak. But I could see that we maybe stepped on it a little bit. But I can also see that we hit it perfectly. So let's just give benefit of the doubt where it's due.
Me, she just is.
I thought that was. Oh, I thought that was.
The 2 of us were.
I thought that was great, and we probably could have activated an applause break. There are probably like 3 people, different spots, clapping after the If we were like, yeah, we probably could have reignited that applause.
Yeah, I don't think they were clapping. I think they were also just snapping. Like,
some of them were snapping. And it might have even been about to be like, get him. Or something, bring back the old energy. Now, can I get boos for interracial relationship? Can I get boos for interracial relationship? Yeah, we could have played the same game again. Man, that would have been fun. Next time.
So the 2 of us were, walking down the street as stories involving racism often begin. And a cab driver came up to us and asked us if we wanted a ride. And I said no, because I feel like that's not how the interaction is usually supposed to go. Like, they're not the ones who come to you, especially if you made no indication needing a taxi. They ignore you. You're the one who has to grovel.
Okay, how do you feel about this setup so far of like taxi, walking?
I think I pace a lot and I have no idea where to look. I think that's kind of annoying.
Sure. I think I mean, there is definitely a little bit of like the head almost like hiding in your hair, and I don't know if we're actually making connections with the audience, which is scary to do. It's scary to do, but we do like need to do it in an ideal world. Mm-hmm. There's something that is a very good pro to your stand-up style, but if we do it too much, it will be a crutch and it will hurt our development. our sort of like stream of consciousness, where we sort of like double down on things because we feel the need to explain something further to the audience, it feels real and conversational because just sort of like trying to be like, I know you might, let me just explain further so that you don't have to ask questions. But it is all written, and we're sort of like locked into the script a little bit, and so it feels conversational, but like performatively it isn't really. So the audience can't really tell the difference, which is why we sort of get like some cheat codes from it. But if something big happened in the audience, I feel like we would be locked into the train tracks because there's a few things that popped up, and it didn't feel like we had flexibility to pivot off and pivot back. Does that make sense?
Like what happened?
I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you what I mean, what I think, and this is hypothesizing here.
And I said no, because I feel like that's not how the interaction is usually supposed to go.
Because I said no, that's almost enough that we could check in with the audience there. Instead, we say, because I feel like that's how the reaction is supposed to go, which seems like we're sort of like cueing into what the audience thoughts are, but that's all written instead of actually checking with the audience before continuing. So nothing happened, but I sort of feel like if something did happen, it still would have progressed exactly that way, as if I were watching a video. But that's, once again, who's to be said? You could also have performed perfectly if some weird thing happened. So it's just hypothesizing, and then
Like, they're not the ones who come to you, especially if you made no indication.
like that. They're not the ones who come to you. Yeah, especially like we could have responded that, yeah, maybe it would have taken us off the train tracks, but I feel like our habit is that we would always not respond to that, yeah, because we're in stream of consciousness mode. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
And so it's like it's fine. It feels conversational, but it does also feel a little bit locked. So if we do this too much and rely on this too much, we won't have like the flowing flexibility to really capitalize on some audience moments. But also I could see that like, no, William, if I'd responded to that, yeah, it would have taken me off the very clear logical point, one of the benefits to this thing, and so it could have detracted from it. I could be argued either way, but because I know you a little bit better, I'm steering towards what my initial thoughts were, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And feel free to be like, no, William, I was perfectly flexible and I practiced it 1,000 times with 1,000 different matrices, and I could have responded to someone saying gerbil, and I would have given them a brilliant response and gone right back to the written material.
But that's not being flexible, I think, right? That's,
What do you mean?
like if I had to account for everything, that's still not being flexible.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. If we pre-programmed all universal possibilities and just had a canned response to them all, technically that's like the experiment where it's like if I put a phrase in like Italian under the door, and a computer can give me a phrase that seems like it's a response to that phrase, but really it's just acting on an if-then statement. If it doesn't actually know Italian, it's like that. If we plan for all possibilities with a response, we're more like being in our world of like, here's your response, instead of actually being vulnerable and reacting, if that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Get off the dense philosophical, what is truly knowing a language concepts here.
Epistemology in comedy.
Here we go.
Especially if you made no indication needing a taxi, they ignore you. You're the one who has to grovel. Please.
They're the one that have to grovel. And the audience is sort of like, had a small laugh. You'd be like, no, let me show you. Please. Like, we're not really responding to them. But we could have stayed basically doing it, but made it a little bit more like, I am actually with you guys in this moment. I'm checking in on you, and I'm using your responses for this.
Oh, please. I promise I won't get in the way of advertising Flashdance Gentlemen's Club. Please let me into your vehicle. I need to play on the iPad that gives you motion sickness that hangs off the passenger seat. Please let me into your vehicle. So that's how it usually goes, right? We all know. But yeah.
Right? You see, seriously, there's no real check. Like, please let me blah, blah. Oh, yeah, you guys are going to do that on your way home. Just something that uses what the audience is giving instead of, like, what feels a little bit like a very good... like if I had videotaped you doing this and played it, would it have been any different from the audience's reactions at certain sometimes versus another?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, once again. And trust me, it's coming from someone who is like very robotic in my, I'll have this canned response and I'll have this thing that's in. And you can, once again, because you are clever enough, you can get away with a lot. But my worry is that we continue getting away with it, and then one day we F around and find out, so to speak, because we haven't developed that muscle.
No, I don't want to. I want all my muscles to be developed.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Start taking whatever the equivalent of stand-up creatine is.
Asked us if we want to ride. I said no because it's like not how it's supposed to go. And then he said,
Because that's not how it's supposed to go. The audience is kind of quiet. We could even use their quiet. It's moments like these where it's like, if we say something, the audience is too quiet, you can sort of like bully them for being quiet, and it sort of makes them like, yeah, I said no, because that's not how it's supposed to go. You guys don't agree? Oh, you guys gonna go home? You guys gonna walk out the door? Like, it's too much to take on all of that. But once again, I don't feel like we're taking any input from the audience. I won't harp on this point anymore.
Yeah. Oh, another thing is I didn't mean to say let me into your vehicle 2 times. The first time I wasn't supposed to say. The first time I said it because I forgot the iPad thing.
Sure. Gotcha.
So I think me saying it twice, I kind of, man, I really fucked the sheep, as they say. You know?
Interesting tidbit that I think you'll appreciate. Apparently, in like I don't know where, like the Falklands or like Wales or whatever, the reason there's a stereotype of people having sex with the sheep is because apparently like stealing a sheep had like a 5-year prison penalty, but like having sex with it only had a 3-year prison penalty. So if you got caught, it'd behoove you to be like, no, I was having sex with a sheep, not stealing it. And so people got a reputation for having sex with a sheep. Honestly, back to the original point, I don't know if saying please let me into your cab hurts us saying it twice, or if it sets up a pattern that in some ways could make the joke stronger in a weird way. So here.
please. I promise I won't get in the way. Who has to grovel? Please. Oh, please. I promise I won't get in the way of advertising Flashdance Gentlemen's Club. Please let me into your vehicle. I need to play on the iPad that gives you motion sickness that hangs off the passenger seat. Please let me into your vehicle.
So I see. Please is the setup of these literal please. Please, first thing, please, iPad. Please, let me into your vehicle. And the whole third one is let me into your vehicle. But yeah, we did dilute it by saying it that second time. If the full third punch was supposed to be, please let me in your vehicle. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So one thing about please let me in your vehicle. The other two are like very funny and they have very strong specifics associated with them, while the third one sort of like rests on emotionalist, like emotions to try to be higher than the other two, and it our mission didn't ramp that much, so like I think for the third one to really be a punch on its own, since it's not as clever as the other two, it's like please something, please something, please let me into your vehicle. Like it has to be noticeably like way bigger, or it has to be equally as clever, or it's not going to seem heightened. I don't think. Thoughts on that concept on your end?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I was originally hoping because please let me into your vehicle is a very like unsafe request. So the heightening would come from that. It would be like
I could buy that.
But I think saying it before I really
Yeah.
I stole a sheep, as they say.
Yeah. You really you stole it. Yeah. Okay. But it is it happens, but that does suck, and I could agree on that third one going either way. We'll never know until next time.
That's how it usually goes, right? We all know. But he asked us if we want to ride. I said no because it's like not how it's supposed to go. And then he said,
"Oh, I think another thing is we all know that felt really inauthentic."
It did feel a little bit like I feel like I'm speaking for all of you, and I'm shutting you down if you want to talk, and I'm blazing past this because we're sort of like, hey, I'm going to rehash this whole story that I've told again real fast just so I can queue up to the moment. So it is sort of like we're like, hey, I'm just speaking some bullshit because I want to get to an important point, but don't really listen to this, but you kind of have to listen to this, and now I got to the point. So ideally, we could find a better way to reintroduce the story. And I think that we all know it sort of like has that vibe to it about like, I'm going to speak for all of you, and this is, I don't know. That's my thought on it. What are your thoughts on it?
I think, to me, it feels more like it feels more like it doesn't matter what I say there because it just didn't feel like. I think there's a way to say like we all know while meaning it, but I think it was clear that I didn't really mean that.
I see. Like, guys, we know. We know. Yeah, maybe spinning it with a different emotion could have made it feel really like, hey, let's play with this
But
big
he
concept.
asked us if we want to ride. I said no, because it's like not how it's supposed to go. And then he said, if it ain't white, it ain't right. Like, which is really not how it's supposed to go.
So just back to the other, I think like, which is really not how it's supposed to go, is a really clever, it feels like a reaction, and it goes on top, but I don't feel like watching your performance that you really took in how the audience responded and then delivered that line. You just delivered that line because it was coming up. Just to show more moments of this sort of thing bleeding into our style. But great line, great cleverness, and because it feels the way a conversation feels, like the audience is bought in. Will you buy my diagnosis of that moment?
Yeah, the fucking wool over their eyes audience.
Yeah, they're such sheeple. They're about to be stolen.
They're about to get fucked in a legal sense.
Yeah.
Is there like a minimum amount that you have to like fuck the sheep in order to qualify as like, because you know how like, the government gets really sussed out about like green card marriages. So if you can't like just get married, you have to prove that you're in a relationship to get married. If one of the parties is getting citizenship.
Oh, I see. Like, hey, you didn't just have sex with that sheep. You were stealing it. Like, no, here's the love letter I wrote it, and like you're saying like that, like you have to prove the evidence.
Threshold where you have to prove that you were fucking the sheep.
Oh man, we'll see if this makes the final edit or if I have to edit all of the sheep stuff out and then just random sheep references. If you're like, why are this? And it's the ones I couldn't remove because it's just too bled into this review.
They were too funny. Ones you couldn't remove because they were too funny, too good, get you too many subscribers.
Yeah, no, these are all bad. Okay.
You're wondering what happened next. The answer is nothing. Nothing happened. Justice is a concept invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops. And we had to live with that.
Oh, we jumped a little bit over the laugh with the we had to live with that.
Yeah. I think, okay, so here's the thing, is I couldn't find a good way to end that part. Because, okay, justice is a concept that Marvel invented to sell Funko Pops. It's like a funny line, but it's not a button. And it feels weird to feel like justice is something invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops. Anyway.
I feel like we could have landed that joke and done, like, justice is a lie. Justice was invented, like, justice is a lie. Let that land. The audience might be like, oh, woo, yeah, they might respond to that just as like in a social sense. And like, yeah, justice was invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops. Wait. And that we can let that land, and then we can respond like with any sort of follow-up thing about like, and if you don't believe me, who here owns Funko Pops? Get him, or whatever. But we could land that and still say subsequent things without that being the final, the end of the logical thread, but let it land in its own right to get the laughs that it deserves. Does that make sense? Or am I not answering what your question is?
Yeah. So okay. So the thing is, I feel like I had to put something, because let's say I ended, if I were to end this bit on justice was invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops, that would feel really impotent. Like if it was if I just left it as that, because it doesn't feel wrapped up.
But we could continue, like, justice is a lie invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops. The universe is apathetic. The blah, blah, blah. Like, we could continue this joke string and say more things that are, like, seem true and are justice related, but then give a more fulfilling end to the idea of justice in general. Is that what we're talking about?
No, so because that is how it be, I had just one extra line after it to sort of end it, which was, and we have to be okay with that, or whatever it was. We have to live with that. But that's not funny, right? It's
serious.
So I just wanted to say it.
I mean,
before,
honestly, at any time,
if I waited for the laugh to peter out, and then I went, and we have to live with that. I think I would have had a lot of inertia, and then because I think people would have laughed.
we wouldn't have enough as much inertia to land the justice point. But there's other things in the set that we've already built in that we could have done it. Because justice is a lie to invite Marvel to sell Funko Pops. Ha ha ha! And we have to live with it. It would cause an awkward moment with you if we waited for the laugh. That follow-up phrase would cause an awkward moment. But then we're already playing awkward boy. We've already invented a stage persona that swims in the awkward. You could be like, "Can I get booze for justice?" And then we could go right back into the concept of like at any time during the set, we could say, "Can I get booze for X?" as like a failsafe for anything, and then react to it. So that's one potential way that we could have given the Funko Pops its full laugh, said a phrase which would cause awkwardness after that laugh, but then like follow through with it and use that tension in a productive way, if that makes sense, and then that is palatable. That's just one way, but there are other routes. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I do agree that waiting for that laugh and then saying, and we just have to live with it, will cause an awkward moment. What I don't agree with it is that awkward moment is like always bad. It's something we can use. It's a tension that we subsequently need to resolve, but we can come up with fun ways to resolve that, and then we get a free joke.
That makes sense. I think like, yeah, okay. So I think here's my logic, and it's obviously it's not going to be this funny. It's like, it doesn't have to be this funny, but but like if I do talk about how justice doesn't exist and how it's a construct invented by Marvel and like we have to live with that, I get no reaction. You're like, and then like I could label their silence as like them being devastated that they just like reached some sort of realization, like how they just grew up or something like that.
Yeah, sorry to ruin Santa Claus for you. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's another great option of a way to sort of fill it. My one thing back to the original point, if we're gonna keep it the way we did it in this set, was justice was a lie invented by Marvel to sell Funko Pops, and we just have to live with it. If we're not saying the Funko Pops line to get a laugh, if we're gonna stomp on that laugh, then like why even say it?
Mm-hmm. I agree. God, I'm so
I mean, look. It'd be good if it was in like a written material, but if we're just saying it to then get to then sour that laugh, it almost feels like a more like a political rant about like I'm gonna rile you up instead of laughs. Is sort of like feeling I'm trying to get from the audience, and so I don't care if you laugh because you know what I'm saying. So it's like if we're gonna keep it in, then I think we do have to let that laugh.
I agree.
For my money.
One of the first things that people generally notice about me is that I'm Asian. If you haven't noticed that, good for you. One of the second things that people notice about me is that I am not Jeremy.
Okay, so context for people context for people watching at home. There's a comedian earlier in the set named Jeremy who talked about being Filipino and how that's a mix of like Asian and Costa Rican, et cetera, et cetera. So we did a great callback to that, but of course you watching at home wouldn't know that. Schune, thoughts on using that specifically?
When Jeremy talked about like people trying to guess his nationality because they noticed that he was Asian, I was a little bit worried just because I was going directly after him.
Sure. To be fair, that Susie was supposed to go after him, and you guys swap places.
Yeah, well, I wanted to go before Susan because I think she made some references in her set to my set. We do that every time.
But I'm just saying that like I knew that I tried to protect. Anyways, continue.
But I think just acknowledging it was fine.
Honestly, look, Jeremy just went up. We had maybe his 5-minute set, and maybe his jokes came 2 minutes in. So he had 3 minutes to come up with a line. You're only going to come up with something so clever, especially when you're having to worry about performing your own thing. It's enough. It got the laugh. It's enough. Yeah, if we had time, we could have written something super clever, but like we don't need it. It's enough. Sorry.
Hell yeah.
And honestly,
How-
it's so good that like it was so good that you called out being after Jeremy that like and I think the moment that's about to happen that like other comedians called back this game. So like maybe you're like I could have thought of something clever, but it's a strong enough game that multiple comedians also got to capitalize on it. It's enough.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pay it forward type.
Yeah.
Because he is Costa Rican.
Applause break. We could have activated that a little bit more if we were like, I think he's some sort of acknowledgement about like, now can we get booze for Costa Rican? We could have even done that. Once again, easy to do in our seats, but we have this very big, the thing, if we start our set with a big song and dance like that, a very, very clever, very generalizable premise, like, oh man, we could use it way more.
And if you haven't noticed that, shame on you. A lot of people.
Sorry, okay, thoughts on all that before we continue.
So I think I could have just ditched that. Okay, so here's what I thought of. Here's what I thought. So what was originally written was the first thing that people notice about me is that I'm Asian. Like if you haven't noticed that about me, surprise. Okay, that was what I wrote down. But then Jeremy had the gall to be Asian before me.
Sure.
So I knew I had to acknowledge that. So
Sure.
like the first thing people notice about me is that I'm Asian, and then I was like, okay, well, like if you haven't noticed that, like so I thought like the second thing that people notice about me is that I'm not Jeremy, and then I was like, okay, well I should repeat the if you haven't noticed that game, right? And then like so I changed it to like good for you if you haven't noticed that I'm Asian, and then like shame on you if you haven't noticed I'm not Jeremy. But because I had that little tangent about Costa Rican, I think that chain of that like logical chain was broken, and so I could have just ditched it. I think because I didn't need it anymore.
Yeah. But once again, either way. I like the payoff we got for Costa Rican, but I see what you're saying, and I could agree with that as well. I'd say neither is like a wrong option. It's just sort of like a choice of flavor.
Yeah, I think I could have just. I think I should have chosen only one of them, just because the intact thread.
Oh, maybe. I don't hard agree with that statement. I like this iteration that we have.
The thing is, if he is Costa Rican, then he is not Asian.
I mean,
so
the audience knows that you're playing with his bit, that like people think that he's Costa Rican. So it's like it's more of like a hey, I'm playing. It's not like at that point. It's not like the audience being like, oh, well, we know he's not Costa Rican because you just said he's Asian. How dare you logically, contradict yourself? They like, oh, Shune's poking a little bit of fun at Jeremy, and then like the place that hit, and he's calling back his material. Oh, that clever Shune. So I think like that the inherent tension that joke is playing with is separate from the bringing it up as him being Asian, if that makes sense. So the audience isn't gonna confound the two pieces of knowledge once you do the joke about him being Costa Rican.
Yeah, I guess I'm just so worried about getting owned.
Oh,
I don't want to get owned.
Yeah. If someone got something really bad has to happen for someone to get owned at Laughter Party. The training wheels have to have fallen off. The bike is. Yeah.
People like to. I guess Jeremy can relate.
Oh yeah. By the time someone also I'm actively in the audience steering these sheep. Like for something to go someone to get owned during Laughter Party. It's probably gonna happen someday, but. Oh boy.
A lot of people like to. I guess Jeremy can relate because it was his first joke. He'd like to. Oh, sorry.
You just got owned. You just got owned by Vision. Oh, you just got owned.
I thought his friends were there, so he would be with his friends, and I couldn't see.
Yeah, we're about to talk about that.
I guess Jeremy can relate because it was his first joke. He'd like to. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Your friends are there. I thought you were sitting with your friends. I'm getting heckled. It really be your own sometimes. Okay. I know I'm gonna keep my ego, Jeremy.
Could have activated that applause.
So one thing.
Okay. Well, okay. Once again, we sort of got mini owned by Jeremy calling out, but how do we like the way that we handled it?
I was just kind of thinking, like, because I got owned by Jeremy, right? Jeremy owned me, so I thought, like, okay, if I started talking to him, like, I would just be conceding that I got owned, and I didn't want to, like, acknowledge that I got owned on stage.
I think at that point, when someone calls out that big and the whole audience hears it and they knew who he was, if we had continued, the audience, without referencing it, the audience would be like, oh, did he not notice that just happened? It would have caused attention. I think at that point, we have to deal with it or reference it in some way to be like, hey, I'm a real person in this room. So I love that we responded to it. I love that we flipped it around on him, and I even love that we sort of, we commented on it, really be your own. And then I even like that, you know what, no, I'm more comfortable doing it this way. So like, I think we turned something that could have very easily thrown us off, and it sort of did because we were not expecting it. But we turned it into these great jokes that got us an applause break. So we turned, a harmful thing. We turned our, like enemies' supplies against them and made them our own supplies. And so like I really like the way you handled that, and I like that we did handle it and we did reference it. If we'd continued, not only would we have added that tension in the room of like, did he not recognize what just happened? Is he just gonna keep going? But we would have gotten these cool jokes.
Yeah, these jokes are so cool.
Yeah, I like them. I'm giggling, and I've heard them before.
I think it was just because I don't know.
And it really be your own sometimes was referenced by 2 other comedians that night.
Yeah, true.
That's how much they like that moment.
I was a Callbacks donor that show.
Yeah. You were bringing their sets back to life.
I was, like the Giving Tree. I was that, but with Callbacks, okay. And they were the greedy little boys.
Yeah, and you're a little stump at the end, a little stumpity stump. Isn't that how the Giving Tree?
Yeah, the tree turned into a stump at the end.
The thing that Jeremy and I experience a lot is like people will come up to us and like try to guess what Asian we are. That's because people think that they're really good at guessing what Asian we are. And like whenever I find myself playing Guess What Asian I Am, and like I always do find myself playing it, it's never something I initiate. Like I get precious little out of it. I already beat the game. Like I already know what Asian I am. Now I'm just helping other new players come through. If any of you want to play.
Okay, how do you feel like the setup of the Guess What Asian game joke?
I think it is kind of awko for a couple of reasons.
It's a little long. Sorry, but thank you.
One thing is I was really worried about getting owned on this, which is I start saying like whenever I find myself playing the game, I thought like with when. But I don't finish that. I don't finish that clause. Like it's not a complete sentence. Like what happens when I find myself like nothing, right? Like I don't finish that sentence. So I think like when I do say that, I create an expectation of people going like, well, okay, or at least I think they, even if they're not actively thinking about it, I think they are wondering. It is begging the question. They are waiting for what happens when you do this game, and that's something I never answer.
Yeah, it'd be the equivalent of an improv scene and people be like, man, we should get in that bouncy castle. Edit scene, never seeing a bouncy castle in the set. And now he's like, oh man, where's that bouncy castle? Yeah, I could dig that.
And then the second thing is like I think the punchline part, I guess, which is the second part, has a lot of sentences, or not sentences, but clauses that kind of mean the same thing. Like, I already know what Asian I am.
Wait. Sorry. What do you mean the punch? We haven't gotten to the punch of this joke yet. You mean like the what? I'm confused. What do you mean by the punch? What do you mean by the punchline part?
So I mean the joke that is sometimes people try to guess what Asian I am, but I already know what Asian I am. That's the joke.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. That is me. I was thinking, yes. there are definitely punchlines in this whole setup that is setting up the bigger. But I'm on my own train tracks of thinking about the broader thing, but the broader thing is made up of teenier things. Sorry. Okay, back to your point. That's
Okay, so when people, so like I get precious little out of it. I already beat the game. I already know what Asian I like. These all mean the same thing. So I think that
I see.
was
That's why I can see that why the audience isn't. I mean, yeah, we could heighten it. Like, I've already beaten the game. I win every time. Boom. I mean, we would give we wouldn't be able to play the later game if we gave it away here. But yeah, we could heighten that instead of saying same information a different way, same information another way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think too much of the same info.
I wonder if there's a thing about like, guess what Asian you are? Also known as some other thing. Also known as blah. Also known as have you ever had X food? Also known as other ways that like we could play a game like that as well to maybe like make it feel different.
Yeah, also known as my wife is.
Oh, sure. My wife is not even semi-tangentially. Yeah.
You can just come up to us and start guessing. That's how if any of you want to play. You can just come up to us and start guessing. That's how it usually goes. So, again. So?
Korean.
Interesting. Let's keep that in mind, everybody.
You could have activated that applause break as well. Okay, your thoughts on that?
Whatever the person guessed, I would have said interesting. Let's keep that in mind, regardless.
Yeah.
I think it's like because I very much do look like East Asian. Like I don't look Southeast Asian. I think people are probably gonna guess like Chinese, Korean, or Japanese.
Okay.
Probably, I'd say like safe 99% of the time. Unless they're gonna like.
Wait, pause. At home right now, if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to guess in comments. No, before we give the game away. Sorry. Back to you, Shin.
So I think. So like I have something for Korean and I do have something for Chinese, but I don't have something for Japanese, even though that is a guess that I do get like a fair amount, or when people do try to guess what type of Asian that I am. So I think I got kind of lucky here, just because my next bit is about like being mistaken for Korean. I got kind of lucky, but obviously it's not sustainable, I think.
I mean, I think that what we're about to do, and people are just gonna have to trust us until you watch the later bit. I think it still works if Greg here had guessed Japanese. I think you could still have said okay, let's all keep that in mind, and then like you get that laugh, and then by the time we're in the next story, the audience has sort of like forgotten. They just remember that like, oh, a different guess was made.
Mm-hmm. I just think like it doesn't have to be an entire bit, but first of all, I mean like the reason I put that bit there is because like I feel like people will most often guess Korean just because that is the guess that is most common. Like people most often guess that I am Korean, so I was just playing. It's kind of like day trading. I'm just playing the probability here.
Okay, sure.
So over if I do this set 1 million times, it'll transition smoothly into material most of the time.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, wait. Pause on that thought though. This is a thing. Oh man, this is a thing that grinds my gears so much with Laughter Party with a lot of y'all sometimes, and that's the perfect way to look at stand-up. Is that it is not deterministic. It is probabilistic in that there's a joke that maybe it works for you 95% of the time, but 5% of the time it won't work and it can go off disastrous. And sometimes I'll try to flag something to one of y'all and being like, my instinct says this is dangerous. And then people are like, yeah, but it got the laugh. It's fine. I'm like, you got the laugh this time, but you're being too results oriented, and it's like, no, it's probabilistic, and it's gonna screw you up a lot of the time. And I'm trying to warn you of that. So I do like that analogy of the day trading and jokes, etc., etc. So I like we brought it up just to give me an excuse to unrelated rant. But anyways, back to you.
I think it's because the other Laughter Party comics aren't gamers.
Sure. I mean, a lot of them. Some of them are, though.
Yeah, maybe they play like a single player game that lets you win because it's the point of the game. I don't. Fake gamers is what they are. I'm talking about like competitive games. Even like like in any competitive game, everything is a probability, right?
Yeah.
Like chess, poker, even those things.
Chess?
So
I mean, like who goes first? But other than that, it's
it's like there are like a bunch of possible moves that your opponent can make, and then so you look at a bunch of situations and then you try to play according to the situation that gives you the highest chance of success, even though there are risks.
If it's bullet because you have a limited time, but with infinite time, isn't there a deterministic best play like it's mapped out by computers? I mean, I guess even the best plays are still semi-probabilistic. I take it back.
Well,
Never mind.
If that was the case, wouldn't every chess match already be determined?
I thought chess on chess on the highest level I thought was solved, not like completely solved, but solved, and that machines will always beat humans, and that I generally believe that the pieces that go first, machine against same machine, tend to win. But there is, and I do know that a bunch of chess, we're going to get way too far in this analogy, but I do know a bunch of chess engines have to be told to start with different openings, or there's some openings that they will always default to every time. So if you want more varied games of machine versus machine, you have to hand control them for the first couple moves and then let them go on the probabilistically best move. Even though it is probabilistic, but yeah.
Okay, then that means chess is just a fake game, and that chess players aren't real gamers.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we're going way off the tangent okay. So investment banker Schune would bet on Korean as the guess more often than not. So more often than not, the set probably segues into the next thing. Fine, but to be completely safe, we might do a different option, which is.
I think I would have to so if the person guesses Chinese, I do have the next bit, which is about people assuming that I'm Chinese. So I think that is fine as well. I just if they do guess Japanese, I have nothing for that, right? So I think I would it doesn't have to be an entire bit.
You can always just say, you can always just do that, I don't have anything for. No, you're wrong. Like it could even be just like that. Of like relieving the tension instead of like keeping it in our back pocket, just being like just for those who playing it wrong, no, and just relieving that answer. It might be a little bit mean, so we might be thinking of a better way to do it. But we could resolve any tension with the guest in this moment as one way to palletize it instead. Because right now we're sort of stockpiling a little bit of wonder, a little bit of tension from the audience, being like, remember that for the future. I'm going to pay this forward to maybe, so that referencing this moment again in the future will pay off. But we can just resolve this moment and use that as the way to let this be before going into the next material. As a thought, as one way.
No, I got it. I feel like I could steal a bit from myself, which is just if somebody guesses Japanese, I just be incorrect. Heckler owned or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Yeah. Great.
Do my Heckler owned bit there.
Done.
One time an Uber driver asked me if I was Korean. And it was not him.
I like that. I like using that and put it into the bit. I love that.
A different man. He asked me if I was Korean, and I wanted to impress him, so I said yes. And he said, "Wait, really?" And I said no. Because he was too excited about Korea to not be able to tell that I was lying. So the thing is, I could have finished the ride as a saronghae oppa, But instead, I chose to have this conversation. Are you Korean? Yes. Wait, really? No. He gave me 4 stars.
Okay, thoughts on this whole taxi driver.
I think the last
driver.
time I really, because Susan and AJ both told me that they really liked the acting out part of the bit. And yeah, and the last time I did that bit, which is at Colby's set, I did it, but I didn't like quite commit to it because I was scared,
Sure.
and it didn't go super well. So this time I was like, fuck it, we ball. I had to adopt the we ball mentality, so I fully committed to it.
I love the act out. I think this audience loved. So you can have a decision tree where you do the subtle version that we just did here, and if it works like it did here, you could have gone way further, or like whatever, like done more, like oh god, we could have heightened the act out of being in the taxi and really see how much the audience will let us get away with, and then have a subtle version for audience that don't like it. And as a failsafe, if audiences don't like a call out, you'd be like, I guess none of you have been in a taxi before, or I guess your Discord has frozen. Okay, now it's unfrozen. You could just have some sort of like break the fourth wall and really talk to the audience as a failsafe for if the act out doesn't work. To like admit like, oh, you guys didn't like that. Sorry. Did they drive bigger cars? And you could even like double down. Sorry, even bigger cars than that. And you turn it into like a different bit. See? Hey, look. Apparently I know some things. But the failsafe of an act out, which is very performative and theatrical, doesn't work out, is to just commit to being in the room and real with the audience. So like abandon it, talk to the audience, and maybe go back to it if you have to. But don't like death sword it to finish out the act out and then try to act like the audience wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I think I could probably do a callback. If they don't like it, maybe I'll be like, ooh, you guys probably all take taxis. Probably because they have the iPads, like callback.
Yeah, 100%. Can I get booze for Uber? And then you can do your universal fail-safe of can I get booze for X?
Ooh, you guys didn't like that act out? Try to get booze for racial minority.
Oh, yeah, that would have worked as well. In my own silly mind, I'm thinking, can I get booze for booze? Can I get some boo-boos?
Ooh.
Sorry.
Which I know because I calculated it from the change in my passenger score. He gave me 4 stars. Which I know because I calculated it from the change in my passenger score. So generally, people do guess that I...
Oh, what was that?
Sorry, sir.
You got like
Sorry,
stun
sir.
locked for like half a second. It's like very subtle, and I don't think the audience really cared. But as a comic, I'm like, what the fuck was that moment? I was promised I'd say fudge on stream. Like I'm down. Like, do we like what? Is it just me?
No.
It's fine. I don't want you to feel bad about it because it happens. It happens to me too. But like it literally is like not even half a second. But it's interesting to see.
So generally...
And I think the breath is what makes it feel, because you were like, so we sort of like felt like, oh, you're gonna say, and it's like that's what I think it feels like more than if we had just been like.
To me, I think the worst part, the cringe for me comes from like getting out of it in a way that I can't control, right? Because I'm like, hey, my passenger score. And then like that, like because if I did stay in like my passenger score, all right, here's the next thing.
Oh,
and even if I
sure.
changed it in a way that I felt like it was in control, like I my demeanor changed in a way that felt like that I didn't control. Whereas if I changed, if I felt like I was in control of it, it wouldn't have been cringe.
Yeah, I agree. If we'd done something like my drive for my passenger score. Oh, you guys are silent. Are you guys calculating your passenger score in your head right now? While you do that, I'm going to talk about... Yeah. I agree with that diagnosis. Yeah.
People do guess that I am Korean, unless they want to be racist to me, in which case they guess that I'm Chinese. This week, I got called a Chinaman. Nice. Okay.
Get him.
Yeah, no, the thing is, like, it is supposed to be hurtful, but
cringe.
I don't like that it is supposed to be.
Because I wasn't expecting it.
Sure.
And I also think I was just I was not focused because of what just happened a second ago. But yeah, like immediately after I was like, oh yeah, I should have just said get him, right?
Sure, one thing, easy to do in our seats. And for those watching at home, this is why stand-up has such a high skill ceiling, is because like a million things are happening. We're having to like tank some damage and like go into the next thing with like an open heart. And then like the audience is throwing stuff at us and we don't know respond, not respond, bring in a pass moments. It's like there's so many micro decisions. So like I don't fault you for it, but like yeah, a lot has happened to us in the past 10 seconds, so I can see us.
Also another thing is so that the guy who said nice, he is my friend, and he is Korean. So I was like, oh, maybe I could call back to like it be your own sometimes, but also I have to like, but also people don't know that he's Korean, so I'd have to like acknowledge, be like, hey everyone, for context, he is Korean. Okay, really be your own. Like
I mean, honestly, if you did that whole thing, if you just a lot of times like just do it, just be completely honest, just throw all your cards on the table. The audience would have loved that. They would have. It's like, oh, by the way, everyone, that's my friend. He's Korean. It really do be your own sometimes. Yeah. I thought it was Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy. Can we get a boo for all these racial minorities? You could have just made it a callback parade. Once again, easy to do in our chairs after the fact. But just want to show like that opportunity. Anytime you get nervous like that and you feel like you're like going analysis 5,000 in your head, might just behoove you to just lay your cards on the table and just like let the audience into what you're feeling, even if it's complex. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll try that because I think this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time that I've gotten this note from you. I mean, it's been a couple times where I've been like, oh, I wanted to say this, and then you were like, oh, well, why didn't you just do it? It's been a couple times.
I mean, to the end of the thing we were talking about earlier about like just being confident and following our foot. Our foot is sort of like wanted us to say that, so just like say it. And if the audience doesn't understand, then we've created a tension which we can then resolve and make it okay. Hey, free tension to play with, even if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as we're looking at it through that lens, even a failed solution to it becomes another opportunity for a different solution to now the original thing and the failed first solution. The solution's all the way down.
You know, like it's just my country. Yeah, no, the thing is, like it's racist to me, which I know because I calculated it from the change in my passenger score.
I thought I had clocked, but I didn't.
So generally, people do guess that I am Korean, unless they want to be racist to me, in which case they guess that I'm Chinese. This week, I got called a Chinaman. Nice. Okay. Yeah, no, the thing is, like...
Yeah, so there's a little bit of like, nice, okay, I haven't tied a boat around this. And then we continue. Also, have we said that we're Chinese yet? Have we like let the cat out of the bag?
No, not yet.
Oh, for some reason I thought we had, and like, okay, we do it later though.
It is supposed to be hurtful, but I don't like that it is supposed to be. You know, like it's just my country of origin plus like species. You know, like
because when you say that, it's just my country of origin. I don't know that you're Chinese yet, as we are taking on that moniker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I shouldn't have said no.
I think it's fine, but like in this moment, it's causing like a little bit of stun lock in my audience head. But maybe that's just because I know you and the audience doesn't care. Whatever. I've seen other. Whatever.
Imagine if we did that with other races. I'm not gonna like say examples. But all of those new racial slurs you guys just invented sucked. Okay. Don't pull them out at the next racial slur convention. No one there will respect you.
Oh, there could be opportunity at the next racial slur convention, aka some real place that is generally known to be, not the best.
Laughter party.
I got owned. But yeah, you could even have said that the next you could have done that joke and it would have landed, and then it would have made your other joke that you're gonna do later land even harder. So you should have.
Yeah, sorry.
That's also just like not a very logically sound way of harassing Asian people. Like not every Asian person you harass is gonna be Chinese. I am. There's your answer. But it's just like not a sustainable way of being racist. If you are curious about a sustainable way of being racist, you guys have definitely come to the right show. Laughter Party, hosted and produced by William Keane, has the most, where's the camera? Has the most ethically sourced racism in the East Village. So if you guys want to come up to me and be racist, like after the show or during the show, this is, after all, Laughter Party, hosted and produced by William Keane. Here is something that you could do.
Okay, your thoughts on that final joke and your exit moment.
I wish I could come up with something better, but I couldn't. I think like I don't know what in what way I could end this bit of, if you're curious about a good way to be racist. I actually have no idea how to end this bit in a satisfying way.
Oh, actually, there is a way that you've already set up that you could end it in a satisfying way. If you are curious about the best way to be racist, can I get a boo for racial minorities? And you could have left on a boo, and it would have felt full circle.
Yeah.
The solution was right in front of us. Sorry. But you were saying before I interrupted. I don't know if that would have been fulfilling because then the audience would have been booing us out. But it would be fun in its own little weird way.
That would be funny though. But they would be booing not because they didn't like the comedy, but because I'm Asian.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is, very, very fitting. Very fitting.
Because we told them to. Yeah. But that's one way to pay it off. If devoid of that way, a different way to pay it off, like if you're looking for a good way to be racist, maybe we go back to like no, that's a bad way, that same thing, because we can't, I don't know if we can pay it off like fulfillingly, like we have to sort of like swerve giving an answer, so it is a little tricky puzzle. There's solutions to it off the top of my head. So if you're looking for the best way to be racist, you could have gone back to Greg, who we've already bothered twice, and be like, anything? Just talk to him after the show. Thank you, guys. I'm Schune. I'll be, that's one way to pay it off.
I think I wanted to play with the audience guy one more time, but yeah, that would have been a good way to do it.
Sure. So, there are potential solutions. Also funny that similar to like avoiding the intro moment, we're avoiding the outro moment as well. So we can just be like teleported right into material and then teleport off without that sort of like reactionary phase. So I do feel like we are avoiding that a little bit too much. But I also kind of like the idea of each set coming up with more and more clever ways to avoid. If you can keep coming up with clever ways to avoid it, hey, I'll be happy to watch them, because all the other comedians will just have normal intro and outro. So it is like a nice refreshing breath. And it will be, even on non-Laughter Party shows, it'll be refreshing there as well to be like different. But long term, like, you do need those skills.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, 20 years from now. They'd be like, you gotta see Schune shows. He always comes up with the craziest entrances and exits. And then one set, you're finally like, hey guys, how are you doing? Oh, and it was like, boo, this isn't, you sold out. Boo.
I think if I was like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, it's good to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, William Keane, for being such a great host. People would think that they would be like, oh, he's throwing us off by doing a
Oh, like
regular intro.
yeah. Well, he's got the normal person mask on. What is this? Where's the twist? Where's the twist? That's kind of funny. I just thought something was funny. Like, thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you. Nah, this part of the stage isn't so good. I'm not gonna be here. I'm good. Anyways, okay. So we are now at the end. Usually I talk about outro moment and our outro avatar, but I like the going off stoic and solid face considering our like little cheat code outro. So
Yeah.
skipping that
How did Justin know to start playing?
yeah, it's almost like it was pre-planned.
Was it?
Was it?
I didn't say start playing. Was this Juicy? I didn't say start playing Juicy.
Okay, so overarching themes if you were going to do this set again, what you would do or what you wouldn't do, and sort of like any ideological concepts we can wrap up in a bow for people who have, potentially just watched this whole thing.
I think being more decisive definitely is the big thing for me, just in general in life.
Okay.
Like especially at Laughter Party, just because I'm never gonna get a place that's easier than that, right?
You might. There are a decent amount of good. I mean, yeah, probabilistically, yeah, Laughter Party will be pretty easy, but there are good shows out there.
Short. Don't sell yourself short. Okay, it's very. Your show is easy. Don't sell yourself short.
don't tell that to people. Everyone watching at home, we do the most expert comedy in the most grueling and antagonistic of settings that only our skills barely allow us to come through in a pinch and have the audience literally chanting our name as we walk on stage. It's all because of those micro decisions that we get them right in the palm of our. Anyways, you were saying.
I think. Trusting myself a little more to look for the solutions instead of trying to come up with new things. Just like look for callbacks, look for more callbacks.
Yeah, to that point and helping you with your own trust, the moments when we were just sort of being Schune and just like clever and sassy back when the audience threw us a loop, like when Jeremy was like, I'm over here. We came up with clever stuff. We're good. We're smart. We're we had it. We had it. We could have done that more, and I understand that like it's hard and we don't want to put ourselves in that position, but when thrown to the wolves, we come out victorious. So maybe we don't need to avoid wolves so much. And I said,
yeah, because we keep fucking killing them. We keep killing these wolves.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts? Having watched this back and talk through what we talked through.
And I'll probably next time try, maybe if I don't have anything, just try speaking through my thought process.
You mean like in those moments when something has happened, we're deciding which decision tree to go to, or we might be like, oh, my friend, but I have to give context of just like literally blurting out where I thought. It's a good tactic to have in your back pocket as one that will serve when nothing else is coming up super clever and we just have to sort of like default most safety net of safety net. Ideally, we come up with something clever, but it gives us multiple layers of catch-alls underneath. Sure.
Yeah. I think those are the I shouldn't focus on too many things. I think if I want to like do them well.
Oh, sure. I mean, it is a good point, and I do like that you and Susie bring that up about like, hey, I'm just gonna focus on X and Y because there's like 18 different things you could focus on, and you're trying to do it all. You're not gonna develop one specific skill, and so you sort of have to like whack-a-mole, choose which one you're progressing at any given time. Great. Yeah, look, I think our style with the way that we write and in our specifics and our cleverness will serve us well, and so that we won't have to play with the audience as much as I push other people to who maybe don't have as strong stuff on the written side. But over time, I do want us to develop that other skill, just to have it, so that everything can be working together instead of us having sort of a blind spot because we sort of can write our way around it most times. Honestly, I still think great set. A little bit on the train tracks and decision tree, but the few moments when we really did engage with the audience, we did really well. And for all the things we said about the intro outro moment, they are unique. They are different. They do stand out, and so I do think they stay in the audience's mind. And so, as far as like as a show producer, I'm glad to have them on the night, have someone do them. As far as helping someone progress, you get it. So if you have made it this far, hey, please give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, and hit that noti bell, please. Our socials will be in the description if you want to see more comedy from us, and probably more videos, maybe even with Schune, should be appearing on screen right now. Schune, any words of parting?
Make sure you leave a comment for the algorithm, especially one that is what your guess was for my nationality.
Sure.